On Wednesday, we sailed from the island of Syros over to Paros, and we talked about many different things we could be doing, ways to continue the journey, and the problem is
it's gotten really windy.
Of course, if you want to go sailing, you need wind, so wind is good, but it's coming in gusts, so that makes sailing really tricky. It's a lot easier and smoother sailing with a steady wind than it is with gusts of wind, because the gusts push the boat to the side, it pushes you off course, and especially if you are at the helm like I was today, it's hard work and it can be exhausting, and you have to stay active the entire time. There is no steering with your knees to drink your Starbucks or something like that. You are on duty and you are on duty. We wanted to stay in the marina, which is across the bay from where we actually are right now, but as we were approaching the side where the yachts of our size are, the Hafenmaster or whoever it was standing there waving his arms, and he yelled over, "It's too much wind, go over to the bay." So we came over here to the bay because the bay is a little bit protected from the wind by the mountains. We dropped anchor, and now we are here for at least one night and maybe 2 nights. And whenever you are at anchor on a yacht like this, in wind like this, it's always a little bit tense because it only takes just a few, not even a minute, if the anchor were to start dragging or not hold anymore, and we would drift into somebody else's boat. Our anchor chain would tangle with their anchor chain. There's so many really just annoying, complicated, and slightly dangerous things that can go wrong. More dangerous in the sense that the boat would get damaged, like if we run into somebody else's boat. The thing is the wind is going to push us away from the land, at least the land that we're closest to. And we would hope that by the time we hit land on the other side, somebody's going to notice that we are drifting. So when we sleep for the night, we'll have an anchor alarm, which has our coordinates programmed into it, and if we move out of the radius of our anchor chain, then the alarm goes off and somebody runs upstairs and turns on the motor and figures out a new plan. Doesn't that sound like fun? I was sitting up in the cockpit with one of the other crew members, one of the other passengers here, having some beers, and the other ones were on cooking duty, making dinner for tonight, and now I'm down here in my cabin. I really would like to open the window just a little bit to let some air in here, but we have the dinghy tied down at the top here, and it's kind of blocking my portals. Other side of this cabin, they're really close and the wall is really thin, but it's much later in the night now and everybody's gone to bed, and I have to be honest, it's kind of scary. The wind is so loud and the water moving against the side of the ship is, I don't know, there's something about it that's very disheartening. And I mean, we've been here on our anchor now since this afternoon. We haven't shifted. It seems to be holding very steady. And the captain has an anchor alarm set, so I mean, technically it doesn't seem like anything will happen. Did you hear that? It's like there's constantly noises that are like, okay, are we drifting? Is another boat drifting into us? It is kind of, it is kind of scary, and I'm not sure how much sleep I'm gonna get tonight, but I'm gonna try, and hopefully we'll make it through the night, and tomorrow is another day out Although the forecast for tomorrow says that the winds are going to get even stronger, so we'll have to see. Hashtag sailing life. If you watch sailing channels and if you Google sailboat or sailing yacht, you're gonna see images of yachts anchored in turquoise water in a bay with some woman with a big straw hat in a pose on the bow of the ship and other people swimming along the back. And that is possible, but that's not what it was like where we were. The wind in this bay, as soon as we dropped the anchor, I was like, okay, this is gonna be hard. I had heard stories from Marcus about what it's like to be at anchor in strong winds, but I couldn't really imagine what it would be like until we actually got there and were doing it. The next day, the skipper told us that because of the wind forecast, we would not be able to continue sailing, that the safest thing for us to do was to stay there in the bay on that anchor. And I had already not slept a wink that night before. It was too loud, there was too much going on, I could not relax, and I was feeling it. It's about 9 o'clock the next morning and we're still here in the bay, which is a good thing. That was a rough night, and it looks like it's shaping up to be a rough day too, because if the wind stays this strong, then we're not gonna leave here. That would be not a good idea, because, I mean, if you can hear how strong it is here, and this is like in a protected area, and I don't think that we want to be out on the open ocean with winds this strong. I didn't really sleep last night, and in fact, at one moment there was some kind of loud sound that I think sounded like the anchor chain broke. It didn't, but if you had asked me to describe what it would sound like if the anchor chain broke, I would describe the sound I heard last night. And I ran over to the cabin, the captain's cabin, and opened the door, and I was like, I think the anchor chain broke. And he calmed me down and said, no, it was probably just a rogue wave coming from the side that made that sort of popping sound. And yeah, we're still in the same place. The anchor held, and after that, I went up and sat outside for a while because I was like, if I can't sleep, I might as well, be awake. And so I went up and sat outside and saw some shooting stars and watched the other boats whip back and forth on their anchor chains. Now, I can hear that some other people are awake too, and I'm gonna go see what's going on. That afternoon, the captain let us take the dinghy over to land to explore the city of Naousa. For all my cruise ship friends, a dinghy is what you call the tender boat for sailboats. It was strange to leave the thing on the beach, but I guess that's how you do it, and it felt so good to be on land again. After about a 15-minute taxi ride, we arrived in the heart of the city. What a beautiful, traditional, old Greek island this is, with winding streets that you could get lost on, small beaches, beachside cafes, and I'm sure it's all much better when the weather is more pleasant. You usually don't end up in places like this when cruising with a major cruise line. That's one amazing thing about sailing. Check out these dog pooper scoopers all over the streets here. They're called no caca. And yeah, you just take it out of there and then you fold it out and it becomes a scooper. You scoop it all in and throw it away, and not everybody uses them apparently. At the beginning of the voyage, we all put a certain amount of money into a general onboard account, which is what we used for grocery shopping, gas, and our meals on land. I would have had no problem just exploring the city on my own that afternoon, but eating with the group meant saving money, so we all stayed together until lunch. Question for my seafood lovers: is this appealing to you? To see an entire octopus hanging outside a restaurant? That seemed to be a popular form of edible decoration in this city, but you're more likely to get me into your restaurant if you're displaying cakes and cookies. I guess it's just a matter of personal taste. The afternoon we spent on land was a nice distraction from the uncomfortable conditions on board, but eventually the time came to head back to the boat and another scary, sleepless night of rocking and rolling in the bay. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to get a notification when the next video goes online. You'll get to see how I managed to make it to our final destination on a different boat, and you don't want to miss the unbelievable thing our captain did when I left.